Hey everyone, Dr. Eric here. I'm going to be starting in just a second. Going to be talking about a topic that we see quite often in this office. Is a topic that is impacting moms on a regular basis, more than I think statistics are showing that it is impacting moms. In somewhat of sense, I see it in a lot of moms. If it's not even their main concern of why they're coming in, I still see it in some realm and to different degrees. So what we're going to be talking about today or tonight is postpartum depression, but more postpartum anxiety and that role and the impact that that is having on moms today. And it is going to be addressed to moms, but these don't just impact women. It also impacts men too. So this could be reaching out to some of the dads out there that are struggling also. So to get started, now let me just, so postpartum anxiety, postpartum depression, there's some similarities, there's some obviously big differences between them. And first, let's just start with postpartum depression. Now, postpartum depression, the prevalence is about 6% of our moms, which deal with postpartum depression. And this was from a study that was actually done at Harvard University. And what they did in the study was they studied about 1,000 moms, and they found out that about 6% of moms were experiencing postpartum depression. And, seeing what I see in my office, I would argue that it's a lot higher than 6%. Now, this was only done on 1,000 moms, so, take that into account. But probably not as many people are reporting the symptoms as truly as they are, because as a community, as a culture, we don't want to feel weak, right? Now, they don't want to feel like they aren't doing a good job, which is a huge part of becoming a new mom. You're going through this motherhood journey, and there's a lot of pressure on our moms. And we understand that here at ADIO Chiropractic, and a lot more pressure, especially nowadays with the age of social media. Now, some symptoms that we're going to see between postpartum depression and postpartum anxiety is a lot of dizziness, hot flashes, the inability to sit still, troubles focusing. And then we also will see that there's fatigue, maybe low energy, especially earlier in the day, and even appetite changes with moms and dads, like I said. Now, diving more into the postpartum depression is that we start to see a lot of lows, a lot of overwhelm, and this disconnect starts to happen with mom. Typically, we're saying that, the medical community is saying that it kicks in and gets to its maximum about 6 weeks postpartum. But it can definitely start a lot sooner or even later into the postpartum period. And this is why they came up with 6 weeks, is because that is just when one of the screenings that they put into the postpartum screening is at. It's, you have that 6-week checkup postpartum. Now, other things that we can see is the inability of bonding with our little one, especially in that depressed state. Now, there is a lack of want. There's anybody, and again, anybody can experience this, you guys. Remember that. But it is going to be more prevalent. Postpartum depression is going to be more prevalent in those who have more depression in their past history, or their family history as well. So that is something to take into account there. So now moving to postpartum anxiety. Now, postpartum anxiety is actually occurring in about 11% of the population, which is about double the population of postpartum depression, which is surprising, right? Because we don't hear as much about postpartum anxiety as we do postpartum depression. So it's something that I think is a lot more prevalent. It's just, I think, not maybe overlooked, just we don't pay much attention to it because it's something that maybe we've dealt with the anxiety before, but the depression is something that people are looking at more. But postpartum anxiety is more prevalent than postpartum depression. Not to say that postpartum depression isn't important, it's just postpartum anxiety, I don't think, is getting the attention that it needs. Now, there's arguments out there that state that being anxious is, like I said, is just part of having a little one, right? You have a new person that you're taking care of. It's a protective mechanism. And I agree that there's this fight and flight mechanism, that sympathetic tone, that gas pedal mode, which is a great thing for short-term situations. And that's the thing with postpartum anxiety, is that it gets to that point where what's okay and what's excessive. And yes, mom, you should be protective of your little one, but you shouldn't have that irrational fear of your little one's going to die, that if you don't hold this one, that they'll get hurt, or you shouldn't have fears that are keeping you up at night, constantly wanting to hold them, or even going into their room when they're sleeping and waking them up at night, or not allowing help or trust, especially with dad or grandma or aunts and uncles. That's when we can see that postpartum anxiety has gone to a degree that is now more concerning as it progresses. Now, postpartum anxiety is more likely if you have a past history of anxiety, just like postpartum depression is more likely if you have a history of depression. Also, it's been mentioned that women who have gone through a miscarriage or stillbirths are more susceptible to postpartum anxiety, and that is why we take histories on our little ones, and why we ask about the mama's fertility challenges, if they had any. We ask about the pregnancy and how it went. Essentially, what research is showing is that women who go through these challenges have more stress and more fear through their pregnancies, which can lead to the postpartum anxiety. One thing that we see and correlate with fertility challenges or losses is that little ones get more stressed from that pregnancy. So the little ones actually come out pre-wired for that stress. Now let's talk about what's actually going on. So now we get to the baby actually comes home and mom's schedule changes, especially if this is first kid. Now there's not a lot of sleep, as you moms know, dads also, but probably more for moms. There's a high role of responsibility taking care of a little one, and this isn't a 9-to-5 job. This is a 24/7 job. It's nonstop. They're new routines, but also relationship dynamic with your spouse or your significant other, a new relationship dynamic with yourself or with your other children. Very often we see that this kicks in, and there's a lot of mom guilt that can occur when not being able to spend as much time with their first child because now they're taking care of their second child. All of these things are a lot of stress for mom. What we want to make sure you understand is that this stuff is building every postpartum period, every fourth trimester. What we want to make sure is that mom is able to adapt, and that adapt is huge. We want them to be able to adapt to those stressors and not overwhelm your system quite as much too. Other things that we see is a lack of sleep. There has actually been a study, and what the study actually showed was that a person that lacks sleep has worse scores on their driving tests than somebody that is drunk. So that's huge. So when we get into that state of lack of sleep, that can hugely impact our lives. Now, one of the biggest things, and this is why it doesn't get labeled anxiety or depression, but gets labeled postpartum, is the hormones. When you're going through pregnancy, your hormones, progesterone and estrogen, they increase. These are those main pregnancy hormones, those main fertility hormones for women. Those are going up 10, 100 times the normal amount that you experience when not pregnant, which is awesome. And that is what allows a woman to actually grow a baby when those hormones go up, the estrogen and progesterone. But what happens is after those first 24 hours after having a baby, it completely drops down to 0. So you go from 10, 100 times your normal amount to 0 within 24 hours after that baby. So that's something important too to take into account, because we just had this increase of hormones and now we are at 0. So those are some of the things that lead into postpartum anxiety and postpartum depression. Now, this is what I heard a mom say once. She said, "I don't know why people say taking care of a baby is so hard, especially a newborn, because it's not. But taking care of yourself and anything else while taking care of a baby is the hard part." And I couldn't agree more with that. Women naturally put themselves on the back burner. As moms, that increases tenfold, right? We find that you moms are putting yourself last. So whether it be a shower or eating or clothes are changed or that you feel good, those things are coming in a dead last. And absolutely, there is a hierarchy. We need to keep baby alive, right? That is important. We need to keep baby alive and happy, but also we need to make sure that you're filling your cup so that you can pour more into your little one's cup. I talk about this a lot with my mamas because it isn't natural for you to take these actions. And that's something that we need to do more of as a mom. So many of you are in this spot. Now, you're not alone. You're going through the same challenges. These challenges are real. They're not made up in your mind, no matter what anybody tells you. It's okay, and it's not something that you need to be ashamed of or feel guilty of, but instead it's something to take action on. And I also hope, and I honestly hope, that your spouse is a huge part in this as well to help empower you. That's huge. We need your spouses to empower you when you're going through this. Now, one of the things that occurs when we do slip into postpartum anxiety is that it mimics so closely to mom guilt. right? That mom guilt. Moms deal with that, right? Now, some moms that I asked, so I asked what some moms thought of when they thought of mom guilt, and they said that it feels like as they're, they're being able, if a spouse or someone says, take 2 hours, go take care of yourself and get your nails done. Don't worry, I got this. But that being said, as soon as you leave, the mom guilt kicks in. Now, moms, raise your hand if you're here or you have ever felt mom guilt. Or give me an example of what you have felt to be mom guilt. But moms have described this scenario as feeling rushed, always trying to rush back because what if this happens or that happens? And this is where we can see that postpartum anxiety mimicking that mom guilt. Mom guilt is that natural thing, but postpartum anxiety to the extreme is not. So we don't want moms to feel guilty for taking time for yourselves. We want to empower you to fill your cup, to make sure that your cup is full, so that you can make sure that you can be your very best for your little ones, so that you can be just the best person there is. So, mamas, like I said earlier, you're not in this alone. This is very prevalent. Now, other things that we can see be affected by postpartum anxiety and postpartum depression can be anything like breastfeeding. This is huge. There's a lot of mamas that struggle when it comes to that breastfeeding aspect. And maybe this is part of the cause of the stress in the first place. We can also see that the bonding between mom and kiddo or infant can be affected. Relationships can be affected. We can see a huge ripple effect occur when a woman is dealing with this stress. Now, if it's not either postpartum anxiety or postpartum depression, maybe you're feeling like you're dealing with a little bit of both, right? One of the reasons I wanted to do this webinar is to bring awareness to see if there is a mom out there that is struggling that doesn't know where to turn. We love taking care of moms in here. One of my favorite things is to see that moms become empowered through their mama journey. We love to see and we love to help lower their stress. We love to help their little ones feel better so that they feel better and that they are better able to adapt to that stress as well. Now, if we can help lower, say, the reflux stress in your little one, then we can see that the stress lowers in the mom because she isn't doing laundry 6 times a day. She isn't changing her baby 6 times a day, not being spit up and having to shower constantly if you can even shower, right? Now, on the other side of that, we want to make sure that we're seeing moms that are adapting to their stress. We see that moms are dealing with stress, with anxiety, sleep issues, hormone imbalance. Digestion is a big one. All of these things are things that we are lucky to help take care of. A lot of moms through and help them with. Now, what we do see when we do care for them is we are better able to have them adapt to their stress. So I want you to keep that in mind. We are able to allow your body to better adapt to those stresses that you face, because you're still going to face those stresses, but it all comes down to adaptability. Now, if and when out there that you're saying, that's 100% me, or a friend tagged you saying that that's you. Now, friends, if you know of somebody that could benefit from getting this information, share it with them, tag them, so that they can hear this message. But if this is you or someone that you know, there are things that you can do. All right? Talk to your provider. Talk to your spouse. Say, I can't control some of the stress that I'm having. I can't control how I am responding to the little one, and I wish I could help with this. Reach out to other moms that are friends. Believe me, you will find someone that is dealt with this same situation. Again, it is prevalent, and I wish it wasn't prevalent, but reach out to a mom support group that is maybe on Facebook, a local one, or a mom group in person, and just talk it through with other moms that have dealt with the same scenario. Now, mamas, if this is you, again, please seek out help. One of the things that we love to do through chiropractic care for our moms is helping with that mom stress. Lowering the amount of stress that is on your nervous system so that your body's better able to adapt and respond to that stress appropriately, so that you as a mom can, again, better adapt to your daily stress and be that best mom, best individual, best wife, whatever you want to be, but so that we can allow you to better adapt to that stress. Now, I want to thank you guys for joining me tonight. I hope this helped you guys. If you have any questions, post down in the comment section. We'll love to answer those questions. But if you are a mom that is struggling and you just want to reach out, give us a call at 608-824-0950 or message us. We'd love to be able to help you, and especially help you adapt to your stress so that you can be the best mom possible, best individual, best wife, best everything. So thank you again, and have a great day. Bye.